for every. Okay, I did. Start. Go ahead, Sergey. Let's start.
Hello, it's a SIG Node meeting. It's 2nd of February, 2021. So PR status. We have increase of PRs just based on pure number, but I analyzed what was created, and there are a lot of PRs for every small component, converting the logs from unstructured to structured logs. So hopefully we can bulk review these PRs and get rid of them, and it will get us into green zone. So it will be less PR created than closed and something. So yeah, so this increase is not unnaturally just because somebody opened a lot of small PRs for structured logging.
I'm definitely seeing that. And I mean, it also looks like our velocity is increasing too. Like we have more closed and merged PRs than we had in the past 2 weeks.
So does anyone want to just like volunteer to act as the primary shepherd for all these structured logging ones?
I've been kind of doing it because I have to via SIG instrumentation. So like Sarathius, Merrick at Google owns this. I have not been able to get an update from him in terms of what we are doing for 121. So like, I think we want to target beta in 121, which means we have to migrate everything and then set up static validation to ensure that people aren't reintroducing the old log formats. But I don't know if like it's going to be in the milestone yet. And I've been pinging him, but I haven't been getting responses. So I will continue to try to chase him down.
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering, is there a clear link on these PRs right now that says these are all for structured logging? And then could someone just be like, I will package Kubel to prove these so we're not the blocker, I guess, or...
Yeah, I guess the biggest issue, so I've been reviewing them obviously, but I don't have approver, so I need to like pester people to get I mean, there's no real urgency. They're not really clogging things up, I don't think.
Yeah, I've been making passes on the approval. I think I went to 20 of them last week sometime, but I'll make more passes.
Okay, Ilana, let's go talk about caps.
Oh, great, caps. I would love to talk about caps. So I put an item on here to talk about caps because the cap freeze is fast coming, and a lot of people wait until the very last moment to try to get their cap merged and then have to go through an exception process because it takes time to get everything done that needs to get done. So I wanted to make sure, we've got a week. It's coming up, it's the 9th, and I wanted to make sure everybody knows what needs to get done. So we have a planning doc that Mrunal put together, which I linked. And one of the things I did yesterday was I went through that doc and I checked every single thing that was in there, and I added to-dos before freeze. So some of them don't have anything to be done before freeze. For example, like the swap stuff, we're just working towards a cap. There's nothing to be done there. For those that had outstanding PRs that needed to merge, I linked those. But for a lot of them, like there's no PR that needs to merge. We just need to update the cap to include the newest milestone. And that may actually also include some PRR review when we do that. So all of the to-dos are there. But in order for things to be worked on as a cap in this release, they have to have a tracking issue in Kubernetes enhancements. They have to have that issue in the 121 milestone. They have to be implementable in the cap.yaml, and they have to target the correct release and stage in the cap.yaml. Like that is the new process for the release team. And they want the SIG chairs to take all of those caps and bring them to track them. So it's not like previous releases where they have been doing all of the work of tracking and shepherding things and whatnot. So if you are not on that list and you don't have a tracking issue or like any of these things, it is unlikely that it's on the agenda for 121. So you should be working towards fixing that. I've been getting some pings on random PRs where I had asked, please file a tracking issue. And it's like, you still need to file the issue. That requirement is not going away. Pinging me will not make it more trackable. So,
yeah.
I also have some questions. Sorry, go ahead, Dar.
So I tried to take two really simple features that we had in alpha and guinea pig the PRR review process to get them to beta last week. And I know we have a week. My experience is it's like a 5-day turnaround time on PRR reviews, which I assume hopefully will go down as more eyes get put on it. But the one thing that stood out to me was in the current process, the bot on PRR reviews only verifies the change to the cat had a corresponding change in the prod readiness tree if you had created the file in the prod readiness tree. And so one thing I'm anxious about as we go through these is just ensuring that everyone does go and create the file in the prod readiness tree where there wasn't one already. And I didn't know if anybody knew if there was anything happening in that PRR verified job that says.
Yeah, there is. I've hit this a bunch with the instrumentation stuff. So basically, as soon as you target the latest milestone and you set the phase or whatever, if there isn't a corresponding thing in the PRR readiness review, the verify will fail and it won't let you merge. So then you have to add that file, and then the PRR approvers approval is required in order for the PR to get merged. It's a little bit like flaky in the sense that like I have seen some where it sort of like skips under the hood, and the reason is because it's not requiring all of that metadata to be filled out. So if you just don't include it, it will ignore it. So that's the concern that I have on some of these, which is why like on almost I think everything in the spreadsheet I said, yeah, we've got to get the cat metadata updated because that'll force you to go through the PRR review.
I also have something because I looked at that planning doc yesterday. I noticed a couple of things we've been talking about at the SIG Node in the past. For example, SIG version 2. I don't understand clear about the action because I don't see
we have to do the work to test and then propose something. So we don't need to do anything for.
So we are not engaged to promote or deliver anything, right? So that's more clear because for this one we do have the reviewer, we have everything owner identified. There are other things like the Windows privilege container. I understand hope Mark is here, and we are missing off the approver. I think we do have the reviewer. So because I think both Nantao and the Yuji actually jump into provide the review, I will chasing those two and make sure that the whole review process it is throughout this one. And so Mark, you can update, put their name as the reviewer. And we haven't identified approver there yet. If there's no one, I can be the approver. So then, which means I also have to review that one. So just make sure we are everything. And then in that case, we might have to add a milestone for this one also. Hopefully, Mark is here today.
Yeah, I think I need to update the milestone. I just realized that was still targeting 120. I will go ahead and add Lantao and Yuju as the reviewers. If anybody from SIG Node would like to act as the approver here, please let me know.
Totally. Yeah. And then there's the other several cap on the feature we've been talking about, like for example, sys cutoffs. I think even like the owner is unclear, has the question mark, and I think they attended the SIG Node meeting last week, but they didn't clearly say they're going to be owners. So we also didn't clearly identify the reviewer and approver. So we have to reach out to them and make sure. But I think at this moment, I don't know how we're going to add that as the milestone because even ownership is unclear to me at this moment.
Yeah, I agree. So I think like, do we want to go through the list right now and see what is like realistic versus what is not, or we want to kind of wait and let people work on it this week and then like end of the week or early next week, make another pass?
I personally want to go through that one because that's kind of more reality, right? So you can, and we should at least have the owner, who is the owner, and who is going to be the reviewer. So if that one is not I think about until today, it's unclear. I think there's no way we are going to deliver that in the near term of the milestone. Even we talk about, we talk about a lot of time. I will is like the people's desire have that feature. It's not mean like I'm on this problem domain. I'm going to address this for this release. That's kind of difference to me. And so in that cases, if we don't have the clear of the ownership, they end up like the people maybe spend the time to review but not and not focus on the real things, and the end up we cannot really deliver.
Maybe it would be good to go through and at least the ones that look like they are going to make progress this milestone, make sure that they have owners, reviewers, approvers, especially a lot of the new enhancements. And then, because I think if we wait till next week, there's not going to be enough time to.
Yeah, that was
like,
why I really
any
wanted to
issues.
push this on the agenda now, because like the problem is with like the PRR process taking time, like approval
Yes.
taking time, review taking time,
Mhm.
you know, trying to leave it to the last second, it's just going to be miserable for everyone. So do it early.
Yeah, so maybe we go through them and mark them like green, yellow, red, and whatever is red, we just drop it.
Yeah. Like this idea. Yes, maybe, yeah, maybe at least mark as the color code, and then it's the community knows. And if people disagree, and then will be speak out, and then we can request. So then they can provide additional information. Cool.
Okay.
Let's go.
So yeah, okay. So we
I
can
can
quickly.
give you, yeah,
Go.
let me give you the co-host so you can share, then we can.
I think it's probably reasonable to say anything that doesn't have
Go
an
ahead.
initial KEP merged is probably red. Anything that does but needs updating is yellow, and anything that's fully merged and good to go is green. And I don't think we have anything green yet.
Just this. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Black.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So CRI graduation. So I think this one we are waiting for a couple of things now. So one was the update on the containerd side. And the second thing that has come up is the CRI stat C-advisor changes. So what we could achieve is at least like update the runtimes in the CI to switch from V1 alpha 1 to V1, but marking beta itself is kind of blocked on the additional changes to CRI stats and potentially user namespaces. And I don't think we'll be able to close user namespaces by next week. So
there's also Windows improvement, but it's probably additive for security context.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think we addressed some of the security context improvements actually in the Windows privilege container cap. There's some suggestions for new CRI fields that I think Lantau thought looked good.
Mernal, on that one, does the original cap we had like a alpha beta, proposed release timeline? Do you have an update to that cap that basically outlines what we think we can get done, and then?
I can do that. Yeah, I think so. We can update the runtimes, but calling it beta is probably, we may have to wait one more release.
Can we leave that blank, no color? So that's mean like the make progress, and we are,
That be yellow?
we are on purpose not to move next stage. That's okay.
Or I can just say like Mrunal to update.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I genuinely went at every single one of these. I read the cap. And so the ones that I did not say, like, there needs to be a big update to the cap, mostly looked like they were in good shape.
Okay.
Run as group, I think, like, we just basically
should be green, right?
graduate this one. Yeah, it's basically ready to go. It just needs to be added to the, even, I think we have the issue in the milestone. We just need to, like, I think we need to just update the cap metadata so that the enhancements team can track it.
Okay. All right. So Node graceful shutdown. So David, Sergey, and I met with Clayton. He had some feedback on it. last week. So we met on Friday. So I think, is David on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
David, do you think you have the bandwidth for this in 121?
Yeah, I think I think aiming to move this to beta in 121 makes sense. There's been someone who's been helping out with E2E testing of the feature, which has been really awesome to get their help with. Okay. The only concern I have, I think it's fine to aim it for 121, but we might need some more time to incorporate other people's feedback if we get some. So I think it's a good goal, but if not, we can always move it later. So I think it's good to aim it for 121 for now.
Okay.
But then just to be clear on that, like that means we will go and update the metadata that we intend to do this now. Like, so are you going to do that, David, or are you doing that?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Cool.
So we mark this as yellow and come back. All the yellowish things we will pay extra attention, right?
Yeah.
So for this release, yeah.
Okay. All right. An action for David. Ilana, if you don't mind, could you capture that?
As a comment or?
Yeah, as a comment, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So C groups V2 will just do testing and then we'll come up with changes. So I don't think we need any changes to the KEP for the deadline yet. So
can I ask a question, Manu? Do we have any data about today's Kubernetes resource management dependency on the C group version 1? Do we have any of those data? I never saw that when people say, oh, we have this dependency. Or maybe we don't, even those dependency always being covered by C group version 2, or there's the alternative way we could achieve the single. I do see that in your original type, mention something, but it's not like the concrete say, oh, there's the dependency. And here's the discrepancy between those two. And how we are going to address that, not explicit being called out.
Okay, so are you talking about the resource? Okay, how resource management is directly calling into C groups and doing updates to CPU and stuff like that. Okay, so I think we can update the KEP with that and call that out. Yeah, we can try to do that. Yeah, but like no. I mean, we are not targeting anything besides testing and updating the KEP. Yeah.
Yes.
I have to admit, I don't understand what we're updating in the KEP.
I think the resource management dependencies, Derek, like how they are using it currently, and if they need to change anything. So I'm assuming
the mapping that Giuseppe had originally laid out, or
I think CPU manager and stuff is what Don is talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So in that case, I guess no change is required because we're not going to graduate it this release. We're just going to continue working on it. Is that the idea there? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, maybe should we add like a column in here to like say what stage we want things to go to in 121? To make it like super clear.
Yeah, not a bad idea. So like at least like on the goal, like we have comments saying beta, GA, and so on, but
maybe repurpose the first column to be feature and desired state, because I don't know if we can. Oh, it gets really. Yeah, this is fine too.
By the way, quick question, if I can ask: is there some minimum time between alpha, beta, GA that is regularly done for features, or through some guidance there?
No, the minimum that it remains in alpha is, one release, but there's plenty of precedent for something to go out in alpha in one release and immediately become beta the next release.
Got it.
Typically, beta to GA can be elongated depending on the nature of the feature.
Got it. Thanks.
I think the beta to GA, at least for most feature, bigger feature, so require of the 2 beta, if I remember correctly, and then plus real usage, production usage, or whatever you can justify that go to GA. This is in past.
Yeah,
maybe
it's really hard to say. Like, if it changes an API and then the kubelet needs to respond to it, then it's like automatically 2 releases of being on, but off by default on the kubelet to make sure that everyone's upgraded to the level that it could be on at. So typically that guidance will be covered in the KEP review or PR review when talking about version skew.
Got it. Thanks.
All right. So moving on to the next one, so user namespaces. So there's been a lot of comments from Tim Hawkin and Michael Toffin on the KEP. And so right now, I think like we haven't reached agreement, and I don't think we'll be able to in a week. So maybe the goal should just be to finalize the KEP during 121, like just keep working on it and agree on the design and what stage it should be done.
Yeah, I agree. I talked to the Michael Toffin recently. That's basically my understanding. Yeah.
So for all of these ones that we're not going to change the stage or like target a thing for the release team, I'm just throwing NA on there.
Yep.
Yes.
Sounds good. So Liveness Pro Bilana Alpha is targeted, and that's good, right? No blockers.
Yeah, I just need it to get approved basically at this point. I think I've addressed all the comments, but
so maybe a yellow or a green.
I think it's yellow until it actually gets merged, because it's not yet merged and implementable.
Okay. So the next one is ephemeral.
Actually, just to make sure on that last one, like I had reviewed the PR, so we just wanted to, any objection to just, I know at least Clayton and myself had reviewed this, Sergey, but just to, we should probably identify a clear owner. I'm happy for that to be me or anybody else who wants to.
Yeah, for the approver.
I've already passed it once, so yeah, that's just fine. I want to make sure that we have approvers identified for where we need to make it.
I saw the Sergey reviewed, so I just ignore. I Sergey and Derek both reviewed. I just saw that yesterday.
Yeah, but official approver called John Bilamarik. At least in the PR, it says John Bilamarik as an approver. Is he a real person who needs to review it?
Sorry, who is on there?
Yeah,
I just
everybody
everyone who did anybody who put a review on there, I added as a reviewer. So anybody who gave me feedback that I made changes in response to.
Okay, but on KEP YAML you have approver as John Bilamarik.
Oh, that's not for the KEP. That's for the PRR.
I see.
So there's I think I put Derek as the approver and John as the PRR approver.
All right. So we are set on that one. So next one is ephemeral containers.
I reviewed. Yeah,
okay.
but I haven't approved yet. Still.
So Don,
and John also is going to review. John also reviewed. Yeah.
Okay.
So I do think about this should be yellow and it's target for the beta. Yeah.
Okay. So swap, okay, we are just working towards a KEP, so not applicable. So seccomp by default, like Sasha and I have it on the schedule for today if we can get to it. If we don't, then we can take it off. Auto sizing system reserved, so we have it on the agenda for today, and depending on how that goes, we can color it.
Renal, are you okay with me marking the seccomp by default as red since we don't have most of the stuff for that?
Yeah, so we have written up a draft KEP that we were hoping to present today. So yeah, but it's okay. Mark it red for now.
Yeah, because red is mean like you want to hit this milestone, and but maybe not. A lot of is blank. Leave blank is mean okay. We are anyway. We are not desire to.
Yeah.
I'm review this one at this moment, but I doubt we can make this in this release. So
Don, are you talking about the auto-sizing one?
Yes. Yeah, I want to I want to understand the owner's desire for this release.
So you want to target a cap or an alpha, Don?
No, I think about I just saw that and I guess maybe we cannot really target for this
Right.
one, right? So we keep move on with the cap, but
Okay.
I don't think there's the goal for this release.
Do we want to put this one as alpha in red? Because it doesn't have a cap PR merged yet, so it can't go anywhere until that gets approved. And are we putting Don as the approver on this one?
Yeah, I can be the reviewer and approver. But I really don't think about this one. It is.
Okay. So, okay.
Wait. Are we going to hit this one to alpha? And is that goal?
So I put alpha there as the goal for this release. So the idea is the owner wants to put it to alpha in this release, but it's red because like the P.
So that's exactly I want to ask the owner. And here, are they here? So they are not here today.
Spreadsheets.
Harshal, you wanna?
Yeah, actually, we want to consider this for 1.21 if it's possible.
Okay.
Okay. So the next one is Syscuttle. So Don, I know you started with this one, but you're thinking this is red because we don't have a clear owner.
Yeah, that's what. Because the question mark. I'm not sure how serious about this one.
Okay.
Maybe Mark asked red and asked him, yeah, who is are they owners right now?
Okay. Yeah, we can ping them. I think they responded on. They had a comment here.
Yeah.
I don't have their email ID.
They were very excited about finding something to work on, and this is probably the one thing that we don't have an owner for. I think this used to be STTS, and then who disappeared sort of and said it needed a new owner. There was like a comment chain which I resolved because Patua said he wanted to work on it. So I mean, we'll see. Okay. I guess really the issue is that CAP needs to be updated with what the heck the graduation criteria for GA are, and then we can try to graduate it for GA.
Yeah, for what it's worth, it has heavy production usage in the world. It's really, do we want to provide a better experience around unsafe? Like I could be perfectly fine if we just said as a group that improvements to the user experience not yet identified is just a separate cap. A shocking number of the world's applications are taking advantage of this capability now. Mm-hmm. And so maybe we should treat this a bit like CRI, where the perfection is in some ways the enemy of progress.
Derek, are you volunteering to be the...
Yeah, I mean, I would, I would be +1 on not complicating this more than the present capability, and definitely shepherding that there. I think improvements to the UX can be handled as a new feature. And if that means, if this individual doesn't want to shepherd that, I'm happy to then take on moving this to GA myself, but I'd want to pure.
I'll try to work with him.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any strong opinions on that, Don, or anybody else who might represent folks who are making heavy use?
I will agree with you, and this is the good way to also, and then also thanks Elena to work with them, because I think it's hard for the different time zone, but we want to have more contributors.
Yeah. So I'm making it green then. That's fair, sure. Or you want to keep it yellow?
I think that's fair. I will try to, given what Derek has said, aggressively slash down scope to make sure that this is feasible within like the next week.
Sure, that's great.
Awesome. Urvashi, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Have you been able to do anything on this one?
Yeah, so there is no enhancement, but I found an original design doc, so I've been sort of converting that over to an enhancement.
Okay.
I haven't opened an issue yet because I thought we had to open both in parallel, but I found out you opened the issue first. I'll do that today and get the enhancement out.
Okay. So I'll call it yellow if folks don't have objections and see how it goes.
Sure.
So targeting alpha, and then who's the approver?
I think it's targeting GA, right? It's already beta.
How can it be beta if it's, is this one of those things that we implemented without a cap?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's already beta.
It predates the cap process.
Yeah.
This is part of the CI. I think people will know. This is the part of the CI. CI actually define a lot of things. CI define the security monitoring and logging and also sandbox, many things. And they are also actually in my original mind, I even want to redefine of the image management. We haven't done that yet. So we just on purpose leave that out, but define many things through the CI. So that's why.
Yeah, I can help Urvashi with it on the review and approve side.
Sure, thanks.
Yep.
Sergey, can you also help on this one? I want to make sure there's no any production potential issues on this one. Even I doubt about that one, but still I want to make, because in the past we hold this one. It is because OpenShift do have production consent. So then when we hold this for a long time, and I'm not sure all the other production evolve, may cause some issues, but I don't know, just make sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I read Sergey as well. So the next one is memory manager. So Derek, I think it's waiting on review from you and Clayton.
Yeah, so we can mark the screen. We just need to go and get the cap metadata updated, but the PR was really far along and just needed final review.
Okay. So we are targeting beta or?
I just checked it. The enhancement says alpha. We're targeting alpha.
Yeah, it's alpha.
Okay.
Yeah, so is that, yeah, is the cap metadata and stuff updated? I'll take a look, but if
it wasn't when I checked it last night, it might be now, but I haven't looked.
Yeah, basically this one and the next one from Francesca, we're just trying to get the PRR and all that stuff worked out. So
yeah, I saw there was a thread in SIG Node from Francesco. So
yeah, it's me. And basically my biggest concern, but I guess I'll get an answer during the review, is how the graduation process is going to work, because this is a new call, backward compatible and everything, to a stable API. So I'm really looking for suggestions. Thanks.
Right. So this one should be the pod resource concrete assignment. Is this green?
yeah, I think right now there's the enhancement is updated. The cap was open. I have to just read the updates that Francesca made, and then but I would say this is green. This was an example of a cap that got muddied into another cap in the last release, and then we weren't able to finish the work in time. And then because of the new process, splitting it out was basically what we proposed to do.
Right. So then,
is that one supposed to be beta or GA?
Well, it goes back to like the overarching question here we'll have to tackle as a SIG, and maybe we can spend a minute talking about it, is additive enhancements to an already stable API endpoint are not really things that we can track within a feature gate concept right now. So like, it's probably the best way I can frame this right now. I'd be like, how would we track future versions of APIs that get added to the CRI after it goes GA? Like they don't get gated behind feature gates because it's kind of a kubelet to another end consumer API endpoint, versus we just have to ensure these things are backwards compatible. Open to people's thoughts on that, honestly, but we've been very varied on that approach. Like when we did the NUMA alignment stuff, like we changed the CRI, we just ensured it was backwards compatible, and we didn't like gate every change to the CRI as a feature gate or anything, nor do I think we want to. So do people have strong opinions on this?
I think we cannot just add a feature for add a feature. We have to think about production rollout to some degree, right? So in that case, it's a feature gate or backward compatibility is all implement detail, but we just need to think about when we roll out the feature and what's the way. Could be really harsh way, and it could be like the really smoothly backward compatibility way. It's just, but we need at least tell the user, here it is how you're going to roll this one, not cause the production issues.
Yeah, but I think the question that this particular cap, and I don't know if everyone's looked at it, will call out is like no different than us saying, how would we enhance the device plugin API or CRI API? And we seem to have a posture as a group right now that says, change the API, ensure it's backwards compatible, and clients of that API need to be graceful to understanding SKU or not. I don't have that really written down as a group though, and I think maybe that's something we should kind of write down as a practice. But
so when I talk about the production possibility rollout, it's not just for the API backward compatibility, honestly. For example, since we mentioned that node size, right? So when we first introduced of the node allocatable, that's really small things, right? So it's like conceptually, it's pretty simple, but rollout, you have to think about more. You cannot, the reason at the end, there's no API backward compatible issues because all is implement detail. But we didn't force those kind of things. It is when you roll out, you have to think about, could be potential customer all of a sudden, their code is being, their workload is being evicted, and they don't have the enough node and cluster level, even don't have the capability to roll out. So that's the basically is the production outage for some of the user, right? So then we have to carefully think about how to introduce that one. Of course, the way it is pretty straightforward, right? So we don't set any default value. We give some suggestion, but don't set that one. And then we doing some other thing, and also feature gate. I just want to say that it's not just simply like the API backward compatibility. That's the one of the things we have to think of. But the other things for rollout, we have to think about from high level. At least to give some suggestion.
I'm not disagreeing, Don. I guess what I was just trying to call it is like we don't have a document we can point to that says what does it mean to add a new operation to a gRPC endpoint that the kubelet expresses. We have what it means to change the API on the API server and how that all propagates down, but I'm not aware of anything in the project. Maybe DIMS, you're aware, that gives a best practice on how to handle iterative evolution of gRPC endpoints. But that seems like something as like an overarching project we could kind of put out guidance on.
Sounds like we need to raise a question maybe to either, well, I guess it would be SIG Arch if it would be going to either the enhancements group or wherever, should we take an action to raise it as a question and say, it doesn't sound like we're necessarily 100% comfortable putting this one in GA, so maybe just like, let's call it beta and move on to, because we've got a few more things I think to go through.
Yeah, I don't think we should actually do anything different than what we're on track for right there. I think it's just
mostly I'm just trying to figure out like,
Kubernetes
what is the
case
thing.
law, and so it's like this is one of those areas where we don't have clearly written down guidance, so we could take an action.
Well, I just like, I mean, should it say that it's in beta right now or that we're going to beta? Like, I don't know how to update the cap, basically.
I agree with
An
Alana.
example of a cap, an additive change to an existing GA feature.
Well, yeah, according to at least the cap metadata for this one, like it's supposed to be targeting stable in 121, and it has a feature gate. So
yeah, so that's what's confusing. So the feature gate is tied to a feature that already went GA in the last release.
I see.
And so I have to work that through on the cap, but it's like additive changes to existing gRPC endpoints. We don't have a clear gating policy on in the project. And so, yeah, anyway, in the interest of time, we can move forward, but I do think we should get something written down cube-wide on best practice.
So Derek, you still think that can be ruled out, be part of the GA requirement, right? The gRPC endpoint, and that still is not a part of the GA plan. So then you want to separate the GA. You still want to shoot for the GA and leave some item for later, right? I just want to see like the gRPC endpoint. Should we treat that as part of the GA or just separate?
That is already GA, right? That's what. So in this particular item, that's what Renault got GA in the last release. It's just that there's a new method in that endpoint that this KEP is proposing, and we don't have a way to. I mean, I will read the KEP and maybe give some recommendations, but like if we added a new CRI method, right, how would we gate that is basically the same basic question. And in the past, we've just added the method. We've never gated it or done anything special. Hopefully I'm making sense, or maybe we're talking past each other, but
no, I think it makes sense. I just think we won't solve it now.
Yeah. We agree. This is not, we cannot solve. I would just think about is the rush to this GA could be make that problem even harder, or actually is to your view that actually is irrelevant. That's most I want to understand.
Yeah, so I have to read what Francesca put out, but
okay. So we still shoot for the green, but we could leave that as is. Don't rush to the GA. that's the only question I just want to figure out, because I don't want to make that even more difficult.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one is pod overhead. So Sergey, I'm not sure you're marked as the reviewer or the owner for this one.
So I graduated runtime class. I don't think there is a big rush for pod overhead to be graduated. There are still feedback that like ideas how to improve pod overhead field and make it more granular, but I haven't seen anybody taking specific steps here. So if it will keep being the same way for another release, maybe we can graduate it to GA.
So we want to keep it the same way, or do we want to graduate to GA? Or I mean, do you want to wait for more feedback?
Yeah, I would say let's wait.
Okay, all right. So we just wait on this. Wait for. Okay, we can just add a comment here. So put an NA here. Yep. All right. Windows privilege containers should be green, right?
Actually yellow, right?
Yeah, I think yellow. So I have alignment with Lantau from SIG Node. I'm still waiting for an API review. There was an initial one, but some details have changed since some reviews from Lantau, and also sig auth, I would like to take a look. I'm bringing it to their meeting tomorrow. And I'm still not entirely clear. Does that mean that, John, you'd like you two to just be the approver, or?
Yeah, if she couldn't do the approver, I can be the approver. So yeah.
Okay.
Just leave her. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to get this kept merged and implementable for alpha. I think we're close, but I don't think we can call it green yet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the next one is kubelet credential providers. Andrew, are you on the call?
Yes, I'm on the call. That is on my plate, and yes, hoping to get this to beta for 121.
Okay. Derek, Dawn, any concerns, thoughts?
Who's our approver for this one, and what color should we be marking this?
Yeah.
One, because it kind of overlaps a lot with sig auth. Jordan Liggett was the one who approved the alpha PR, so I'm hoping Jordan will have bandwidth to be the approver for beta. But of course, if Don or Derek can also help review, that'd be great. Confidence level wise, I think I would put a green on this. The follow-up graduation criteria we added for beta are mostly just like caching optimizations and just making sure we get folks testing this before we bump this to beta. So I personally would put a green.
Who is our node approver?
So Derek approved the initial PR, so I'm inclined to say Derek, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to finish this out. I spent a lovely afternoon learning about things I didn't know we had when you first presented this to Jordan and I. So it takes time to educate someone else on the unintended treasures the kubelet had. So I'm happy to do this.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, so the next one is node service log viewer.
I can talk briefly about this one. So this one I know is coming in a little bit late. This is basically an enhancement to expose both journal CTL through kubectl, and more specifically add functionality into the kubelet to be able to get Windows node logs without journal CTL, which doesn't exist for Windows. These are changes that have been in OpenShift for quite a while now, and some folks from Red Hat have just kind of finished working with SIG CLI to get some to kind of get consensus on how to implement that in kubectl. If possible, it would be good to. It'd be nice to get a reviewer from SIG Node here. I think that most of the work is in kubectl, but there is a little bit of work in the kubelet, so for SIG Node to look at. I don't know if anybody would have time to take a look at this.
I think this is the feature is useful. So, but let me figure out, can we find the reviewer? Unless someone stand up, say they can be the reviewer. Otherwise, can we mark this as right? Is that okay for the temporary marked right until we figure out who is the reviewer as soon as possible?
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Please feel free to say you want to review this one. And then we can try to figure out who is the approver and also who has the approver permission. Please stand out to also say that if you want to approve.
I've been reviewing this, so I can I've been reviewing this, so I can kind of, you can mark me as the reviewer.
Sure.
But it would be good to have an approver, somebody from SIG Node to take a look too.
Sure.
Yeah, like this one lives with SIG Windows, right? So we need, like, technically the final approver is a SIG Windows person.
We wanted to get, this one is also very, like, it touches a lot of SIGs. So I think we got SIG CLI alignment on an approach. And with that, also SIG auth, a lot of the auth kind of concerns were kind of coupled with SIG CLI or the kubectl access. But there are other SIGs that we want to just be aware of and also have reviews from.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I didn't catch the name of the person talking, so.
Mark.
Oh, okay.
Mark.
Oh, yeah, that was Mark.
Okay, sorry.
Mark is one of the reviewer from the SIG Windows. So we need to find some other reviewer. And at least our SIG have to find some SIG node, right?
Let me call out Ryan Phillips. Ryan, are you on the call? Can you help out?
I'm here.
Can you help out here on the SIG node side?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Cool. So then, Mark, you have to find somewhere for other SIG. So this is
I think we've got this. We'll get someone from other SIGs, and I can act as a approver at least because this does live with SIG Windows, but definitely want reviewers from SIG Node to look at.
Thanks. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right. So the last one is Docker shim removal. So what remains there?
Yeah, for removal, I just put it as white right now because we don't do anything in this release. I have a document in the agenda explaining the current status, some work that we're doing, and proposal to shift the removal of Docker shim from in3 for at least one release. So maybe, I mean, there's only 5 minutes left. I don't know whether we want to handle it now or we can discuss it next meeting.
We do have 5 minutes, but we have most of the things just call out. So, but let's go through that one. Is that okay? Give everyone the time. So the first one is the dynamic node sizing for Kubernetes. We just touch base a little bit. Any things you want to call out here?
Yeah, so this was modeled after the kubelet cloud credentials provider, where we were talking to Derek, and we wanted to be able to kubelet to determine the system reserve and kube reserve values, because we consistently seeing having them inadequate values ends up the nodes being frozen. So, but I think Elena has some comments on that. Elena, if you're on the call, you want to highlight them?
Oh, yeah. Well, my concern was basically if we're adding an endpoint for a privileged binary to like specify another arbitrary binary to exec, like there are security considerations, particularly when all we really want is like a tiny bit of metadata. So my suggestion on the cap is I think we really need to get into like the exploration of alternatives with like, why not, have like just a web endpoint that we could secure and like post the values to? Why would we do it as execing an arbitrary binary and adding that surface?
Derek, do you have any comment on that?
I apologize that I got distracted for the last 2 minutes. So
we're talking about the kubelet, the dynamic sizing. So the kep as written suggests adding like a new flag to the kubelet so that the kubelet can exec a binary to get the values. And my suggestion was, like, as an alternative, why would we not have this as an HTTP endpoint? Because of the security considerations of having the kubelet exec an arbitrary binary.
Yeah, so the exec arbitrary binary is the same thing we're doing with that kubelet credential flow that Andrew
Kubelet credential provider.
Yeah, so that precedence isn't.
Well, I guess that's not GA yet, right? I wonder if we should also be getting some weigh-in from like SIG security on that. It certainly freaks me out.
I think that we only have the 2 minutes, and can we carry this discussion at the CAP? And I agree with Elena, and we may have some alternative way to figure out how to do this one. So I also started to review this one. So we just discuss this one. We find the reviewer and the approver, and please welcome to read that CAP. And
just to be maybe a devil's advocate a little bit, I'm going to wager that if I look at the CAdvisor code base or other aspects of the Qubit code base, there's no shortage of places where we're execing arbitrary binaries on that host. I mean, we're calling DF all over the time. So it's not that.
Derek, but we also have to understand Kubernetes has been here for more than 6 years. Like for example, dynamic node allocatable, dynamic node capacity have been proposed 5 years ago. Right? So everyone say no. A lot of things.
I'm just to the general question of execing a binary and whether or not it should be an HTTP endpoint. That the Qubit execs binaries all the time, calling DU and DF and other things on the host. That
yeah, but DF is a little bit different from arbitrary of the binary, right? So that's kind of, you maybe end of the Kubernetes to run something. But on the other hand, like the node problem detector, we also allow them to run arbitrary of the script, even it's discouraged, because we think about that's only eventually everything, it is rootness for the work node. Majority errors. So the only
maybe another way to frame it is execing a binary, in my view, is not a bad thing. And then arbitrary binary, it's up to us to narrow the arbitrariness of it and the permission model of it. But I don't think we should just blanketly reject things because you exec things.
So we ran out of the time. So can other CAP owner and also co-auth, because the rest are related to CAP owner except NPD, can just quickly see if you have some you want to call out. Next one, it is the CAdvisor, Les.
Yeah, hey. So yeah, really quickly, there have been a couple of comments on the CAP. It wasn't in this list because it was one of the newer ones, but I would like to target it at 121, and then I'll work with Alana and maybe Manal on getting it on that list. And Judge, I would probably deem it to be red at this point, but yeah, so I'm just looking for feedback. Like Landau said that actually 3 years ago, we were trying to deprecate the stats summary API, which would mean that all of this work would be for naught. So I think it's possible for us to come up with, you know, with no time, it's not really a good time now to discuss, but I'm curious for feedback on the CAP.
Sure. So can you please update that document for planning document? Add this one, mark that as red. And David Porter, can you be the one of the reviewer? Since you actually look at those CAdvisor, refactory, and all those kind of things.
Sure, I'm actually co-author, so I'm not sure if I can
exactly.
be reviewer, but yeah, I'll be reviewer / I don't know. We might need another reviewer, I guess.
Yeah, you can add me. I can help with that one.
Thanks. So next one is NPT, Karen. Okay, I think Karen left. So Sasha, and we talk about this one, right? So I saw your update in the agenda, and the next one is Sergey. And also you already update. Anything?
Yeah, I mean, for Docker Stream deprecation, maybe a little bit longer discussion. So I would rather postpone it to next meeting.
Sure. So I'm sorry for today because we don't have enough time for everyone else. We go through the 1.21 CAP, but I think that's the worst time to go over since a lot of the CAP being touch base a little bit. But if you have more concern and more question, or you want more time to discuss that in detail at the SIG Node community, please come back next week and we can discuss and put it into the agenda. I think that's all for today. Thanks everyone for attending today's meeting.
Yeah. Thanks Alana and Manal for helping.
Yes, thanks Alana and Manal to driving this way. Thanks.
Folks. Bye.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, folks.